All right, so look, let's put it all on the table here today at 215-592-9494. We'll start Phils. We'll get to the Eagles in the draft in just a moment, as it's 3 weeks to a big opportunity for Howie Roseman. So last night's game, to play or not to play? That was the question. Look, I know it's controversial. I'm conflicted on this one. My main takeaway is it probably should not have been played because you got a lot of people that bought tickets to the game, and obviously the vast majority weren't there. On the other hand, I do recognize that they did get the game in. It wasn't, 2 a.m., and, you do have a viewing audience at home that we went, some of us went to the game, some of us didn't. So I'm sure the audience at home, to a large extent, didn't have tickets, appreciated, hey, there's a Phils game on because, we like when we're home and there's a Phils game on. Were the conditions tough? Yes. Were the conditions while they played impossible? Absolutely not. I mean, it was nothing at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock like it was at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock.
See, I expected differently, Joe. You were at the game last night, Jimmy. You guys went to the game. You guys braved it. Bless your souls. I was driving to practices last night, so I was watching it at home.
So as if you were
at home,
it really
was comfortable for me.
Yeah,
but man, that looked disastrous.
It was the emptiest Phillies game like I've been to since they were horrible. Like since
no question,
like a September game in 2014 or 15 or something like that.
No question.
It was like empty there. It was weird. It was almost like a surreal kind of feeling.
Well,
there.
John, you know what?
Yeah.
So I said to James in the first inning or second inning, whatever the heck it was, very early. I said, "This feels a little bit to me like I just walked into Citizens Bank Park during the pandemic."
Yeah.
And you actually got in.
Wow.
Like when
it
you
looked that way at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
TV copy, which is crazy.
A couple thousand people, but that's it. Whatever that number is, 5,000, 7,000. I don't know what.
So they announced 6,000 through the turnstiles or whatever. It was definitely not. Like,
So what do you think it was,
Well,
James?
because people left. Like, people probably came in earlier. I would guess. I was talking to Mike Angeli, and I was like, I would guess like between 3,000 and 4,000.
So, James,
if I had to
should
guess.
they have played the game or not?
Probably not.
Probably
not. Realistically, it's one of those things where for the fans, I mean, it was empty. How many tickets were actually sold for that game?
Yep.
Like, I'm sure a lot more people could have made it Thursday at 1 o'clock or whatever it is. And look, I get it. It's a different thing when you wake up in the morning having to work and then you get a day off as opposed to like, I'm off today. And I'm sure the team wanted the off. I'm sure the Reds wanted to go back to Cincy and have their off day. But at the end of the day, like, your product, it's a business, it's entertainment. I think the fans should get, like, how this is for the fans should be the priority.
For the paying fan,
That's
saying.
my point.
Yeah.
Should be the priority. Like, if people are paying to come to your
Right.
thing, like, you should prioritize that over an off day when you're still not playing a game.
I agree. No, I agree with that. Look, I'm curious where everyone stands at 215-592-9494. I mean, I know most people in the moment absolutely did not want the game played. I could just tell. I mean, I'm texting with people. I mean, now, again, in the end, it's not like it went that late. I mean, I was thinking back to 1993 when they start a game after 1 a.m. We cherish it because Mitch Williams had a hit to win it at 4:40 a.m. That was a rain delay that I think started back around 5 p.m. that day for a doubleheader. So, look, tell us where you stand on the merits of whether that game even should have been played last night, and if you were initially of the mindset that it's a disgrace to play. And I will say this, I was initially of the mindset that it was a disgrace to play. Do you still feel that way after knowing, like, when the game was actually played, it was playable? Was
See,
it
didn't
cold
look
and
playable.
misty? It was.
It looked. They kept showing the mist in front of the lights. It looked like it was really coming down.
It started coming
didn't
back
look like
around-
it ever relented.
Yeah, toward like seventh inning.
Yeah.
It was,
Okay.
and it was
Then it
like
slowed down
It was
then.
pretty
Yeah.
bad. Like,
no, I know.
By the time I got to my car, I was soaking wet.
But
at the
they
end of the
also,
night.
if they had to call that, they could have. I mean, they easily got 5 innings in. Let me put it that way. Like they were fine for about 6 innings.
That's what I thought they were trying to do all along.
I did too. I thought that also. All right, so that plus the bats, which didn't show up. The rain, a lot more showed up than the Phillies' bats.
We certainly didn't see Kyle Schwarber being the only one hitting early.
How about it?
I know.
How about it?
I know. All right, so look.
And
wow. I know.
And it's not just home runs. He's just putting bat on ball.
He is.
Consistently.
All right, everything with the Phillies, the actual game, the playing of the game, the lack of the bats, 215-592-9494. Where do you stand on that? Let's also get to where you stand on Howie Roseman. Now here's the deal, guys. We are, if you don't know, and I mentioned it earlier, so if you listened 5 minutes ago, you know, we are 3 weeks away, exactly 3 weeks to an NFL draft. And, we've had a lot of twists and turns with Howie through the years, and I'm curious, where do we stand now with Howie? Where do you stand with Howie? Because here's the deal. He is generally lauded for being one of the best general managers in football, and I believe that. I do believe that. I also know this. There's a bunch that feels out of whack-ish lately. And a chunk of this has to go on him. So as he gets ready for another draft, and let's be real, he's got 2 times every year that's like Howie times. He's got free agency, which he just passed through in March, and he's got the draft, which obviously is up ahead here in 3 weeks in April. And, on the whole, has he done a good job? Yes. Have there been moments where it has felt almost like he's infallible? Absolutely, yes. Is he actually infallible? Not even close. Not even close. I mean, I'll say this. The Reddick thing is where the Howie thing comes back into focus just to say, man, I wish he had gotten that one right. But then, John, I say, as we get ready for a draft here, Jordan Davis.
The jury's still out as to whether he got that right or not.
I know.
Reddick,
but then I get
assuming.
Yeah, I know. Then I get to Jordan Davis and I say, I think they might have to draft a defensive tackle in the first round. Maybe.
Well, they just did.
Twice in a row.
They just did.
Right, and part of the problem is,
twice in a row.
Jordan Davis.
3 times in a row?
I'm just saying, I think it's on the table because I don't think Jordan Davis is very good. Nolan Smith, to me, to this point, doesn't look very good. I go back to the decisions last offseason when, was it a tough spot because you didn't have a ton of cap space to sign a lot of good players? 100%. And I can't ding a guy for putting so many great players on the team in 2022 that you can't keep them all for 2023. That's not fair. I mean, in a salary cap world, that would be really unfair to say, my God, you accumulated so many great players in 2022. How dare you lose so many good players entering 2023? But decisions within that process didn't work out. I mean, I'll even tell you, Fletcher Cox, who gave him a really good year. I remember saying last year, I'd rather have guys like CJ GJ or TJ Edwards just because you'd have them for the long haul. I mean, I actually literally made this point. Do I really want Fletcher Cox for 1 year when I can have Marcus Epps and TJ Edwards for the next 3 to 5 years? And I said, no.
It turned out Fletcher Cox was incredibly valuable for that 1 year.
I know, but it also turned out he did actually then retire. So, I look at this whole thing and I say that here we are again in a moment where I'm curious where everyone stands at 215-592-9494 on how good, great, or less than Howie Roseman is, given all the history, all the years. Obviously, recency issues, the main things. The last 3 to 4 years. The drafting, frankly, not that great. Not that great. Now, the trades were great. Cat maneuvering, I think, for the most part, was pretty damn good. John, Howie Roseman, where do you stand 3 weeks before you get another opportunity with him?
Howie still knows what he's doing. Our organization is elite and in outstandingly elite Howie hands. Howie is learning on the job, and I had some issues with some things that took place, I don't know, a few years back.
Yes, you did.
Things have smoothed out. You view Hassan Reddick as a bungle. I see it as how he reads the tea leaves. Howie found a pass rush specialist he projected could be better for our defense's purposes and for cheaper than what Reddick's market value truly looks like. And Hassan Reddick was basically upgraded in Howie's eyes. I know it hurts to think about it like that. And that, man, this is economic. By signing specifically a pass rush player, Bryce Huff, 4 years younger, costing $10 million less per year than what Hassan Reddick is probably going to make in his new contract with the Jets. That's just the truth. He basically, that's not Howie failing, Joe. That's Howie being shrewd. Howie getting 2 for 1 at defensive end.
To be clear,
Think about
if
that.
Bryce Huff is really good, which
okay.
I mean, because I know Hassan Reddick is really good. I know it. I saw it.
And I saw Bryce Huff be good too, and I see the measurable next generation stats that show that his get-off is just impossible to touch. I don't think that this is Howie failing. I think this is Howie being smart. And does my belief so why would my belief in Howie waver getting 2 for 1 at one of the most important positions on the field, pass rush specialist? It's a risk. It's a gamble because you don't know for sure on Huff. Yes,
what about Nolan
I agree,
Smith and
but
Jordan?
I think
John,
it's smart.
What about Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis?
Nolan
they
Smith
might be,
is
they might
jury's
be big
out.
whiffs. I know.
He didn't have an opportunity to show us what I was hoping we would see from Nolan Smith. Jordan Davis absolutely is an issue. Jordan Davis, I will blame him for Jordan Davis. I'm not going to blame him on Nakobe Dean because, again, not enough information to go on. Nakobe Dean, maybe when his foot's good and he gets out there, he can be the starter right next to White. So we'll be fine in that respect. I need to see more. But the big guy, Jordan Davis, I hate the decision. It was Howie's final decision. I know it's a room full of scouts and draft experts who come to this conclusion, and then Howie makes the pick. Whatever he did, it was wrong.
And you wanted
Kyle Hamilton was the right pick at the time.
Yeah.
We sure could have used him. Kyle Hamilton is now a first-team All-Pro. Kyle Hamilton, that means he's the best safety in all of football. He was voted first-team All-Pro last season. Jordan Davis was giving us 20 reps a game, and a lot of those reps he was coming off the ball and standing up and getting pushed around.
He was good early, and then he fell apart. Completely fell apart.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just curious with 3 weeks of the draft where you stand on Howie. The twists and turns have been absolutely unbelievable. And
I still think Howie is doing a wonderful job, and our organization is elite. He is elite. We are in good hands. We will be in good shape, and our offense is going to carry us this season with Saquon. That's such a huge move, the direction he took us.
It's a risky move.
Okay.
It is.
And I'm telling you, it's risky because it's different. It's going to assure the fact that you've got Saquon here. That's going to assure that whoever's calling the plays is going to call the plays that give the ball to Saquon. I love the move for that reason. So, man, overall, Howie, I like the direction. I like what you're doing. Don't like Jordan Davis. There are some question marks from a health perspective, but overall, elite.
All right, 215-592-9494. Do you agree with John on that? Where we stand on Howie now? I mean, he's in his second decade with the Eagles running the show. It's been a long time for Howie. All right, 215-592-9494. Plus last night's Phillies game. Playing of the game, in the rain, in the mist, in the wind, in the cold, with the delay. What did you make of that? And the actual game itself, the Phillies now 2-4 after another silent performance by the Bats. Joe Cameron, John Ritchie on 94 WIP.